understand? We won't start until I know everybody has their cash. Every amount, yes. Every single amount, whatever you have in cash. Everybody holding on to your cash? Are we holding on to that? Is it in our hand? Can we wave it? Okay. Now listen, I need a favor. It's okay behind the camera, but please come through. So all of us, the money that we hold on, this is coming around in the bag, and he's going to come and collect it.
$100 bills.
For the sake of time, Liz, what you do, please bring back the bag, we'll collect later on. Today we have a lawyer with us, and lawyers charge by the hour, so we are collecting money to pay. Now, there's one little lesson I wanted us to pick up from the same. When we were holding on to the money, how did you feel, or what was your thought around the money?
Too little.
Too little? Any other thoughts? Fuel.
What do you mean?
Any other thoughts? In all honesty, did anybody hope for not collecting the money from you?
Yes.
Yeah?
You want food? Can I get
All of us, right? Okay. Now, this is money. Money, you can get more money, isn't it? But time. Can we make more time when we lose it? So all of us have different amounts of money here, isn't it? And then, regardless of the amount, even with the 2 kwacha, we were still apprehensive when it came to the money, right? But why aren't we the same when it comes to time? We are so willing to lose time on anything. And what we don't realize is that time once lost, you can never gain it back. You can work hard, you can make more money, you can make more friends, you can do so many other things with other things. But when it comes to time, once time is lost, that's it. It's lost and it's gone. So I'm praying and I'm hoping and I'm very thankful that Mr. Kapumpa has come through today. He's one of the people who, in my life, the biggest thing I really appreciated is his use of time. And so when it came to one of my very fundamental choices in life, when it came to our wedding, we couldn't even look any other way because we knew if there was anything, first of all, we knew was going to work out on that day, is with his help, was time. But not only that, it was not just for that day, but for us it was a practical lesson that we wanted to learn. From their lives, we wanted to learn a lot about their marriage, but we also wanted to learn about how they manage their time. I mean, when you go to a place, you know the people who you always find early, isn't it? And the Kapumpas will always be among the people who always be there and always be there. So it was one thing that we thought, let's not just see it. Let's try and get him in and come and see how he can help us appreciate time. How does he value time? How does he manage time? Because I mean, how many? 1,440. What number is that? Does it ring a bell? Excellent. Say it louder.
The number of minutes in the day.
Number of minutes in the day. All of us, every morning, when our account is open every morning, we got the same number of minutes. 1,440. But how do we spend them? How we spend those minutes will then determine how my tomorrow is going to be, how my life will be. It starts with how I use my minutes today. It starts with how I plan the day before, how I'm going to use those minutes. So I just pray that all of us, as few as we are, this is a very practical lesson that I believe we really appreciate and learn. And because we are believers, we are disciples. And disciples are people who follow a way. To follow a way, you must be disciplined. Discipline comes in so many areas, and time is one of the big areas in which we need a lot of discipline. So thank you so much for coming through. We really appreciate, and we just pray that you may help us even walk as we attempt to be better people in our lives, in our Christian walk, especially to be examples to people out there in our workplaces, in our schools,
very much, Chiru.
I will leave you to do the introduction.
Yes.
I take too much time.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know all of you, but I'm one of those people who comes to know the face. The name is usually a challenge until I either become angry with you, so the name and the face will join together. But for purposes of our discussion today, I would like each one of you to reintroduce yourselves in the sense that you have already introduced yourself to me in one way or another. But I would like you to introduce yourselves. And I want two names, the first one and the last one. And then what you do. Now, what you do is a bit of a challenge because we do so many things in life. But what you like others to hear that you do. You see, in other words, you could do 10 things, but then you only want people to hear about one. So it's one we're interested in. Most important thing that you do. Word of advice, don't say, I'm a believer. That doesn't take us a step further. I want to know what you do. Not I'm a believer. A believer, in fact, it's a way of hiding. So don't hide. Tell us what to do. And we'll start from here and then go around like this. Okay. You stand, you sit, whichever you're comfortable with.
Cindy Manjolo. What I do? I do a lot of things. I'm a professional. What I do in a daily basis.
Whichever you want for us to hear.
Okay. I'm a biomedical scientist.
You are?
Biomedical scientist.
Okay. What does that mean?
I work in
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My names are Musonda Mulenga.
And my name is. Even if there are 10 names, my name is. That's the English.
Musonda Mulenga. Sorry about that. And I'm a geographer. I currently work for Liquid Telecoms, where I'm a retail sales executive.
My name is Chilungu Musambu. And by the way, this I'm still married to the same man. Who still reminds me of Christ. Yes. I'm at home at the moment. Yes.
My name is Ruth Colliver, and I'm a student at Northwest University.
Not my names are. My name is. By the way, we should listen when somebody is talking.
Right now I do photography.
Come again?
Right now I do photography.
Right now I do photography. Can we drop the right now and just say I do photography? Okay.
I'm student
A student in
economy.
economics. Okay.
My name is Gavin Dinju. I completed 2017. So currently I'm just a school leaver.
I am a school leaver. That's what you are.
I'm a school leaver.
Okay.
In Kenya, not for people in high school.
Okay. When did you go to Ziali?
2016.
Okay. So when I spoke to them, you were not there. 2016, I was not in town.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Good.
My name is Adela Santava, and I am a law student at Kanye University.
My name is Paulo Caraba. I'm a business administrator by profession, but I'm currently with ZRA, so I
ZRA. ZRA means tax.
Yes.
But Nathan was a taxman. taxman was a sinner. I don't know why they actually say that in the Bible. Because the taxman was regarded as a sinner, whereas other people, their sins were not worried, we didn't worry about. But we need tax. Your tax, my tax, our destiny. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Mumba Kapumpa. I studied law. Right now, I am working as a support consultant at Invest in Africa.
You studied law.
Studied.
You studied law.
I studied law.
You studied law. But now you're doing what?
I am a support consultant at Invest in Africa.
Okay. You're not planning to pursue law?
Eventually.
Eventually. Okay. We could have asked the gentleman there, but he looked at me and said, do you want me to say something? No, not for now.
My name is Abigail Zelaj. I do a number of things.
Which has nothing to do with him.
One of them has to do with me.
Okay.
I inspire him.
You look after him?
I do that too.
Okay.
I feed him. And also on the serious note, I work for a company called Live Clean Initiatives, and we construct and manage public buildings in urban areas.
Okay.
Good morning, my name is Paul Chishala. I am a landscaper.
Yes, good morning. My name is Lizu Chinyawa, and I am a safety cameraman.
You see, it's introduction is extremely important to the topic we are about to discuss, because sometimes you find that in life you can't find what to say to get the right tone to the people that you are talking to. So remember that as much as you want to say a lot, find a way of giving at least two names. Don't say, my name is Kapumpa. And then they'll say, oh, what's your first name? Is that your first name? Is that your last name? You are delaying, you are simply mentioning, my name is Mumba Kapumpa. And then you say what you do. Now what you do, as we have all discovered, there's nobody who does only one thing. We do so many things. So find out from inside yourself, what is it that you want people to know about? Now that has nothing to do with the time, except that it sometimes delays on the usage of time. Now the topic that I chose is time and time and time. I could have put just time. I could have put time twice, but I put time 3 times because, as you discover, and some of you are already believers, you discover that 3 is a particular important number in the Word of God. And that's why I put 3 times. Meaning that you think about time, you think, how do I ensure that I am applying time? And thirdly, is time anyway important in my life? And we shall see it today. The shopping list is very long. It's a very long shopping list. And that was created by my secretary. I'm one of those people who write and then somebody has to type. But I can type. There's a thing called BBC, Born Before Computer. I was born before computer, but I'm at least slightly better than some of the BBC that I know. But this list here is that reminds me. I almost did before I came here, but I think we'll need to run copies. I'll run copies and I'll give them to you, or Kaumba, to distribute to everybody who's here. I would like them to keep a copy of these. Discipline as a lawyer, discipline as a person, and I was very happy when Chiru was using the word discipline. Did you see this? Okay. It's still time management discipline. Discipline as an international consultant. Reputation grows and goes fast, international reputation, to cut and paste. That I put it there to show that I'm also with you guys. Cut and paste is a term that we use every day. Cut and paste. How to deal with late guest of honor. There is always some function where there is a guest of honor. And for some reason in this country, guests of honor are always late. How do we deal with them? And then, because I hear and I know that many of you are believers, what about the discipline for a believer? That is very critical and very something that is important to us. And then, time for everything is not a creation of me. I went to the Bible and found what you are sure I might have seen before, and we shall look at the very end. The first thing that I'll suggest about timekeeping is self-discipline. What does self-discipline mean? Self-discipline is a term that simply says you are your own boss. It doesn't matter who employs you. It doesn't matter who is your husband or your wife or your mother or your father. It doesn't matter who supervises you. At the end of the day, you are your own boss. Because from a very early age, we determine what we want to be. Even if your father, your mother says, you must be this, at the end of the day, the decision as to what you want to be eventually is really yours. That's where self-discipline comes in. In other words, the two words there, self and discipline. Self means that you do something that you yourself would like to happen. And I think pass in front. Okay. I was worried about the camera. Of course, for a second, so that we know who you are, everybody has introduced themselves. I'm sure you know most of them, but just in case, if you two names, the first name and the last name, and what you do. Yes.
My name is Chiena Dolby. I'm a relationship manager at Citibank.
Okay.
My name is Mumba Kapumpa. I'm a project officer at the Information Board.
Okay. And your sisters? Okay. Who is the bigger one? You're not twins. Okay. You're older. She's a young sister. So at some point you used to beat her. Okay. Do you still beat her?
No, I'm not anymore.
Oh, okay. You have graduated from that. We're talking about time. And this is the first slide. Discipline as a lawyer. I am a lawyer. That's what I did for my training. And the first thing is self-discipline. Self-discipline simply means that you yourself must be able to say, this is what I want to do, and I will do it in such and such a time. And I was privileged that a particular director of legal aid, I used to work at legal aid those days, said to me, and this is very, very important, and I'm saying it to you now. The person said, wherever you appear in court, and I've heard there are a couple of lawyers here, or people planning to become lawyers, you must arrive not less than 15 minutes before the event. The reason he gave was that if you arrive right on the dot, you'll be so confused that you'll be looking for papers and you find that the paper that is very important to your case is there, but you haven't seen it because you are struggling all over looking for them. Arrive 15 minutes before, settle down, cool down, and then when the judge comes or whenever the court comes, you'll be ready for the court. Believe you me, that has remained with me all my life. For any event, doesn't matter what event, I must always arrive 15 minutes before. Paul, in his introduction, said, there'll be things we'll learn from here. Not because I want to tell you that this is what you must do, but I'll give you a general direction, and that is the direction. My direction is 15 minutes before. You could make it 10 minutes before, you could make it 20 minutes before, it doesn't matter. But what that is saying, the direction is giving is that in anything that you do, ensure that you arrive some minutes. I take 15 because that man told me 15 and it works for me. 15 may not work for you, 10 minutes may work for you, 20 minutes may work for you, 5 minutes may work for you. But the message there is that you must arrive before. It doesn't matter what others will do. It doesn't matter whether others will arrive late. You yourself say to yourself, I will arrive 15 minutes before, or 20 minutes before, or 10 minutes before. And the reason he gave was very graphic. He said, if you arrive after the court has already arrived, and then you struggle in, you walk in, you will find your person has been sent to jail. Your client has been jailed. And there's nothing worse. You lawyers will learn. There's nothing worse than your client going to jail. It doesn't matter whether you have done all the work that you have done, but your client being sent to jail is a big problem. The news will go around, he's a hopeless lawyer. After all, he let our uncle, our cousin, our brother, my husband, my father, my wife go to jail. So that was the first thing, the thing about the need to be present because something could happen, something drastic would happen. That's how this particular gentleman, who was my director. Now, we move from the professional angle where I learned about that discipline to the individual. I don't know who created this lie, but there's a lie that women must always be late. In fact, people assume that it's not ladylike when you are supposed to go for a function for the lady to be ready on time. I don't know who created that. You might have heard it, but I'm telling you now, it's a lie. There is no such thing that a lady's time. Meaning that it's okay for a lady to arrive late. It's okay for a lady to not to be ready. The boss could be the lady. You are the boss. You are the one who has the function at your fingertips. You are the one who is in charge. So if you put on the clock of a lady, it means you always arrive late. You always start functions late because you are a lady. That is a lie. Every single, this is one of those, I don't know, there are several things that men and women are different. On this one, we are the same. So, especially the ladies, and there are more ladies here today than the men. Ladies, it's a lie. If you ever heard it, if you are hearing it for the first time, hear it and pass it on. Don't keep it in yourself that it's okay to arrive late, to get ready late because you are a lady. No. And the reason is simple. And you have different professions that you have alluded to this morning. When you think through You can imagine that you go to the hospital and your operation is set for a particular time. The doctor is not there. I should have mentioned this, that I love the phone. I've actually got 3 phones: Zamtel, MTN, Airtel. But right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm not on the phone. Why? Because I'm talking to you. If you talking to me by listening to me, also look at your phone and send messages, then we have a problem there. Unless, of course, if you are recording on the phone. So put away your phones. Put away your phones where you want to reach them, where you want to see them, in your handbags, somewhere in your pocket. Put away your phones. That way you'll remember that, that man, he looks friendly. But he's totally antisocial. He insisted he didn't want the phone. The reason that I don't want you to divide your attention. So medics can't be late because they have to attend to you. You can't go to a flight and you're told the captain is not here because he's at home, so the plane won't take off. It's not possible. The plane may be delayed for several other reasons, but believe you me, the pilot is inside. All of them arrive on time. I've never, and my job was meant I fly all over the place. I've never heard of a plane being delayed because there's no captain. The pilots are inside. The air hostesses and ground and what they call the air hostess, the men are the opposite of the air hostesses. The stewards, I think they are called. They are there. Because they themselves have said, there is no way they can be late. I was about to say, now I'm a bit embarrassed to admit, there was a time when I could have stood here and said, all judges are on time. But that was in the time I was going to court as a young lawyer. All judges were on time. The current crop of judges, I can't say. They will give all kinds of excuses. Some of them will say, no, there was no transport, there was no car, there was no one. But all I'm saying is that if you are going to feel a professional, if you are going to feel that you're a professional, you must be on time. So that is the discipline of you as an individual, the self-discipline. We shall later on look at how do you achieve that self-discipline. Now, this whole slide talks about what happened in one meeting. I used to be, well, I was the first chairman of the National Arts Council. I'm an actor. My entire life, I lived it on stage. And so I combined a little bit of my profession and we started the National Arts Council. And then the National Arts Council gives an award to those who perform well. And so we set up a team of the National Arts Council, an organizing team for the Ngoma Awards. Ngoma means drum. A drum is a conveyor of message. So this meeting was announced, there will be a meeting at 9:30 at the Lusaka Museum. And I got there at 9:20. And the hall was totally and completely empty. Not one person. And I got in and sat in the chair. And about some minutes later, the director of the National Council walked in. Oh, how are you, Brother K? In my other life, they call me Brother K. How are you, Brother K? I said, I'm fine. You know, and they said, oh, Brother K. And people began walking in, members of the committee. It was a very large committee, about 30, 40 people. They began sauntering in, and I'm using that word. I don't know whether you know the meaning of the word saunter. Sauntering in means either you arrive like this because you are late, or you casually, take your time and, hi, how are you? And you greet your friend this one, and you shake hands, and that's sauntering. Aimlessly walking in. You're not in a hurry. So they sauntered in, and eventually, past 10, way back, way ahead of the time that we were supposed to, way after rather, finally at 10:25, everybody was there. And I stood up, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting is called to order. Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting has been adjourned to tomorrow, 9:30, and I walked out. And for a few seconds, everybody thought Brother Case has gone mad. Because there's no way he can stand up, call for the meeting to order, and then walks out. And I went, so this, what has happened? What's wrong with Brother Case? So they were now come until somebody might have said, what time did you come? Oh, I came at 10 o'clock. What time did you come to? And they went backwards, and so eventually they discovered that the first person who came after me came after the hour, which was announced. So the following day, the meeting was scheduled for 9:30. I got there at 9:20. The hall was packed. Every single person was in the hall. I chatted and talked. 9:30 on the dot, I said, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting's called to order. And what they do, they clapped. Now, that was way back, 1997, 96, around there. Every single meeting was on time and on time. The lesson the people learned there was that they could easily walk in late, and there is no guarantee that everything will be fine. We can be late, and we shall be late for some reason. But this particular lesson which was there was that everybody learned in a practical way that if you are going to attend the meeting of the Ngoma Awards, if you are going to attend the meeting for the National Arts Council, if you are going to attend the meeting where Brother Kerr will be chairing, you have to arrive on time, in time. That's the reputation which went through. Such that the Ngoma Awards itself, the first Ngoma Awards was in 1997. President Chulua was then in charge of State House. We knew each other as persons. And he called me, he used to call me Mwata, I used to call him Mwata. What time do you want me to be at Intercontinental? And I said, Mwata, if it's possible, I would love you to be at Intercontinental at 18:40, because you will spend a few minutes to view the paintings, and then 19 hours on the dot, we will start. Because we had announced 19 hours. President Chuluba, with the pingu, arrived at Intercontinental exactly 20 to 7. He walked in, I received him, we walked around laughing, and he looked at the paintings, and we walked and reached the table where we were to be, the high table, 19 hours on the dot, Musa Kasonga. Some of you have heard about him, but Musa Kasonga Jr. announced, ladies and gentlemen, may we stand for the national anthem. And 19 hours on the dot, we sang the national anthem and started. The following year, the Vice President, Christian Tembo, was the guest of honor. Arrived in the same way. 19 hours we started. The following year, Dawson Lupungu was the Minister of Community Development. At that time, the National Council was under the Ministry of Community Development. Dawson Lupungu arrived. In other words, the reputation was kept all the way up to the time that I pulled out of the National Council. I don't know how many of you, by virtue of you being believers, Christians, you may not admit here publicly, but I don't know how many of you have been to any concert. Raise your hand. I won't ask you what sort of concert, but just raise your hand. How many have been to a concert? The word is not concert, it's concert. Concert. And I'm very, very sure, whatever concert it was, the time that was built, the time that was announced to be the starting time for the concert, the first musicians to performed 1 hour, 2 hours late. Is that not correct?
Sure.
Yes. So far, I've never attended a concert that says we're starting at 20 hours and you are there 10 to 20 hours and 20 hours they start. Now, if you forward when you move from there to here, I was asked as part of a team of consultants to look at one of the problems. We're trying to get the arts to become businesses. And one of the things about the artist is that it has always been assumed that an artist is a lazy, is it French or English to say son of a gun? It's not an insult. Yeah, is it an insult? No. An artist has been regarded as a fellow who is always scruffy and late. You can't have a show where the artist will start performing at the time that they have said they will be performing. So I put in, as a consultant, I put in there a code of conduct, which the artist will sign, every single artist, whether you're a musician, or an actor, or a painter, as long as you are a member of the National Council, they will all sign, saying, if we have a function, we shall always start on time. If we don't start on time, we will be charged such and such a way. So that is what has come out of this. In other words, the discipline that is with the chair must be the discipline that goes to every single person in there. Now, earlier, Chilu had actually said in the introduction that when time is lost, it will never be recovered. When you announce that the function will start at 9 o'clock and you start at 9:30, the 30 minutes that you have been lost will never be recovered. Even today, Saturday, 30th of November 2019, 8 a.m., 08 hours will never, ever come back. It's gone. Which means that when you say this is what you want to happen at this particular time, unless the thing happens there, it will never be. You can't find the time. Because this particular slide came from the slides that I take all over the place. corporate governance. And the slide is very simple. There is no African time. There is no Zambian time. There is only time. You must arrive on time, you start on time, and you end on time. There is no African time. Again, like the lie we talked about earlier, about no ladies must be late. There is a lie that is gaining ground in this country and other parts of the world, except some which we shall discuss in a minute now, that it's okay to arrive late. If there is a wedding and the card on the wedding card says the wedding starts at 18 and you arrive there at a particular hour, there is a tendency now that even if the wedding is mentioned, even a wedding of believers, even a wedding of Christians, the time is shown, people will go 2 hours late. And then they stay longer because they still have to do whatever they wanted to do. So instead of the wedding finishing at, let's say, 22 hours, it goes on up to midnight. Why have you come at this time? Oh no, we're going to start on time. I always ask my wife when she says she has gone to kitchen party. The kitchen party is a day function. It's not a night function. Supposed to start during the day when you see the light, and by the time you come to see the darkness, the kitchen party finishes. Oh no, but 19 days, oh no, that's when they are bringing out the bride to be. Because somebody decided to arrive late because everybody arrives late. That has become Zambia now. Weddings, functions, funerals. What is worse? State functions. The president arrives late. It has been announced. And usually the reason given, very genuine reason, is that he had some other important things that he had to attend to. But when you actually look and dig into those important things he had to attend to, you find that they could have waited after the function and then he does them. It's not correct to say that we arrive late because it's not important. And the reputation of timekeeping is something that has picked up and is going. And I feel, and I'm saying this because I want you to feel with me, the joy I receive when I am in Tanzania and somebody in the audience says, oh, by the way, I heard about you. Are you the one who keeps time? Now, when somebody says to you in Tanzania, somebody I've never met says, are you the one who keeps time? It's a pride. Because that's the reputation which has gone in all corporate governance. Preachings and teachings that, I've used the word preaching because I started corporate governance teaching everywhere with the word of God. There was a time when I wasn't sure if I could say that I'm a believer. But now I say, wait a minute, I want them to know that I'm a believer. So, what I tell people in Tanzania, and there are a lot of Muslims there, is that a believer is one who also believes in time. So, you as Christians, as believers here, you must begin to to do that, are you a Christian? You're a believer. So time, as we shall see very soon, is very critical to a believer. But for now, I want you to remember this, that a reputation has gone out there. Whether I'm in South Africa for huge corporate governance conferences, 184 people from the SADC countries, and we announced that we're starting at 8:30, and it's 8:25, and one of the ladies who organizes it says to me, Mr. Kapumpa, can we just hold it from up to 8:35, because people are still registering. I said, no, we're starting at 8:30. And 8:30 we start. People are still, when they hear my voice inside, they realize they are getting late, so they rush in. That reputation in Tanzania, in Namibia, in Botswana, even here in Zambia, wherever a meeting has been held on corporate governance with state-owned enterprises, SOEs, time has been kept. Some of you came on time. Today, at this function. The one who came on time is this one. Can you stand up? Could we give her a round of applause? Because I met her here and gave her a lift this short distance. And I found Josiah's in here. Josiah's is gone, eh? I found Josiah's sorting out something. I found Lizu. That's all. So all of you, from Chilu to all of you, you came late. Now, I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. You are giving yourselves a round of applause, not because you did something good, but because you have learned a lesson. Chilu, after about several months, God willing, I would want to come back. And the announcement will still be made the same. And I would like all of you to be present at that time. And I would like to check. Because in fact, was it you or Josiah who said, use this as a case study? It was you, yes. And the case study will be for me to know whether or not, in fact, we're going to change. Otherwise, there's no point of discussing it if we don't implement it. So, the fact that she arrived on time, the fact that he arrived on time, Lizu, the fact that Josiah arrived on time, means they must have done something correct somewhere. Josiah doesn't have a car. She doesn't have a car. He has a car. So we can't say you must have a car to be on time. By the way, those things I was talking about in my early career, I didn't have a car. I used public transport. Now you use minibuses, the taxis. Those days we used the big buses, and the big bus means it moves very slowly, and it also means that until it's full. Now, let me tell you something about two countries that I know very closely. One of them is South Korea. I worked in South Korea for 3 years, from 2014 to 2017. I was sent there by President Michael Sata to go and open an embassy. So I was there for 3 years. Japan, I've been going there several times for work over my life. In South Korea, every single person is so conscious of timekeeping that once the Korean tells you your appointment is at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock it is. You can't arrive at 2 minutes after 9 because they'll be wondering what the problem is. It's 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock. If they tell you we're coming to see you at 8:30, they'll be there at 8:30. If you are the guest and they ask you to be at their residence or at the hotel at a particular time, you are the guest and then you don't arrive at the time, they'll phone you 5 minutes before. Where are you, Ambassador Kapumpa? We are waiting. Not because they are waiting because you are a guest of honor. No, you are just a guest. Where are you? We are about to start. So they will ring you. They will call you so that at some point you realize the embarrassment. If, on the other hand, you are the host and you have announced to the whole world the time of the function, you find them gone. If you are the host, you are the one who has called them, you are the one who gave them a card, you are the one who invited them by phone, you are the one who told them to come at a particular time, and they come and you are not there, they will go. I'll talk about the South Koreans and change. Japan. I went to Japan many years ago in a team, and the team, we went to see a man called Sakawawa. You know, the Japanese names sound very much like Zambian names. Mr. Sakawawa, he was a friend of Dr. Kaunda, and he was to give us $50 million, whatever, some big money for us to use to buy the embassy of Zambia in Tokyo. We arrived and they picked us from the airport and took us to the hotel. They installed us in the hotel. And then they said, we are coming tomorrow to pick you at 8:27. And this was on the program. So, 8:27. Then we moved from there to the office by car and we arrived at 8:55. Then we will take 2 minutes, 8:57. So we looked at this and I said, this can't be true. So they gave us the program and they left. So we looked at it, we were at the middle. But why should somebody say they are arriving at 8:27? Why not 8:30? Why 8:27? That makes sense. Why this man said we're arriving at the office, and then we calculate 3 minutes to walk to. It's not making sense. I think it's English. That's what we thought. That it's obviously a translation from Japanese into English, and therefore things were not correct. Until it was time to go, they actually arrived a few minutes before time, and they didn't knock on the door. They were walking up and down the corridor until the time they had put on the program arrived, and then they know, boom, boom, boom. Precise. And that's what we learned in Japan. My son, Mumba, he was at Chengelo Sunday School, and a few months, but yeah, August. They went to Japan. And he came to tell me that they were shocked. These are Chegero boys and girls. And they went to Japan, and they were given a timetable, and the timetable was exactly the timetable that I saw way back in 1978, similar. In other words, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Japan, they have a train, an underground train. If the train is late for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they will get the CEO to nationally apologize. The reason is that your train, you go into the train, it takes you to this station, you come out, it has to be a specific time, you come out of the station to get into this train, which will bring you here for a meeting here. So if that train is 2 minutes late, you arrive late, you won't find this train which takes you there. You arrive here late, you won't attend your meeting and you may lose your contract. So they make sure that everything is done precisely. Now, guest of honor. Let me perhaps, if let's assume you're in charge of a program, and you've just been told that the guest of honor who is supposed to open the function will be delayed by 4 hours. What would you suggest? What would you do? You're the one in charge of the program. What would you suggest? The guest of honor is permanent secretary or is minister. And your program is scheduled, you have announced, this program is scheduled to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. All your guests are there. At 10 to 9, you get information that in fact the permanent secretary, who is the guest of honor, or the minister who is also, who is the guest of honor, who is supposed to open, and then your program continues, will be delayed for 3 hours. The program is supposed to start at 9 and end at 15, shortly after lunch. What would you suggest you do?
I would apologize first to the guests and tell them that we're running late because of the person who's supposed to open the meeting, but definitely I think I'll start the meeting.
What would you do?
Is that just the important part of that meeting?
It's a very important part of the meeting, yes.
You ask them to postpone the meeting to later date.
You postpone the meeting. So the guests, the other people are there, and you are at Intercontinental, and you are paid Intercontinental. Because Intercontinental won't say you pay us after the meeting. Because they will know that you run away, so you pay in advance. So what did you postpone? What did you do?
I think I'll try to provide since it's an important meeting. I think I'll try to fuse in other things, 20 past time.
You infuse to pass time.
Begins bringing something that we table while they wait for the guest of honor.
Let me explain. It's not just going to open, but then you have speakers lined up. One speaker starts at 9:30, another one at 11:30, another one at 12, the last speaker. So what do you do?
I'll start the meeting.
How do you start the meeting?
When you call the guest of honor and you explain to them that unfortunately because of pay, there are people here who go ahead and start. And if there's anyone in this office who can deliver a message, they do it.
What would you do?
If the guest of honor will not make it, maybe in 3 hours, I'll maybe ask if he can send a representative to do his part.
There's no representative.
If there is no representative, then just inform him that it's not in the meeting. But in those 3 hours,
became very late. But give me a round of applause. That's what you do. But you have heard the story. What would you do?
I'll start.
Start the meeting. Okay. How to do late guest of honor. You have been informed. The guest of honor knows about the program. If it doesn't matter who the guest, and I've had these quarrels before with my colleagues, my advice is what is on the board.